And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your
We are the last Americans. We are the last Americans. We are the last Americans.
Happy Monday.
Yo.
What's up, dudes?
What it is.
The last Americans.
Yeah. We are. We are. I'm tired. That's what I am. It was a long weekend, man. Glad to see your faces, though, man. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I missed them.
It was a long weekend. How was the Comic-Con thing?
I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. It was a lot to take in. And
A lot of fucking people, dude.
It was a lot of people, man.
There was thousands of people in there.
Yeah. Chris went up with me. Greg, you text me that night, like late. He texted me like, I don't remember what time it was. I had just got into the house. And he's like, how'd it go? And I was like, I enjoyed it. I don't know if Chris enjoyed it as much. You left a little early. You had your boy there. And I will say this. For kids, this particular convention, I would say not as much to do for the kids at this one. Like I thought it might have been. But this, to be fair, after kind of learning about it a little bit and like talking to people that go to all the ones that are local, and kind of told you, Greg, that like there's different like styles of conventions. And this was a fan festival. So it was really like more predominantly like meeting these people, autographs, meet and greets. And they did have a huge floor with merch, like with products and stuff.
Yeah.
But there wasn't like what I would want to see is like what San Diego Comic-Con has. Is like the new toys that are coming out, like Hasbro has their own booth.
Yeah.
All these companies share their new merchandise. Like that's the stuff that I like the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they didn't have that.
I thought there was gonna be a lot more like cosplay stuff, like cool cosplay, like people walking around, and there wasn't really. That was kind of my thing. I was like, oh, this just is like
there was some.
There was some, but I mean, not like I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, but for me, like my point of going was like I purchased like autograph stuff, and I want to get some of my figures autographed, and I was able to do that. Got to meet some some celebrities I thought was really cool. I ended up meeting I think 6. When Chris left, I'd only met 1. It was just like a grueling.
Yeah, I
was trying to figure it out. I'm like, I don't know where to go. I don't know who's up next. They like that kind of stuff. Just kind of play it by ear,
Yeah.
So I met Shane McMore was the first one. He's the one that does the voice for Miles Morales and Spider-Verse. So I got my Miles Morales figure it's one of my nice figures, and I got that autograph, which is great. I'm really happy about that. Then I met Chevy Chase. He was old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. It was really.
How was that like?
I was the first in line on that. I waited like an hour and a half because I was like, you know what? Nothing is happening right now. And I do want to go look at stuff, but I'm like, I don't want to stand in line forever.
Yeah.
So it was cool, man. He's old. I mean, he's 79. You kind of forget that he's that old. And then he had his booth was like in a black curtain, like no photos, no, he didn't want anything. And I saw him
in a black curtain. So like you had to like go behind the black curtain to see him?
Yeah, like they would let like a couple people in.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would like person would come out and say like, all right, you, come on, let's go, and you go inside. And he was in a wheelchair, like he rolled up in a wheelchair, but he looked pretty good.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, he looked good. But to be fair, he's there all day long, and
maybe. I mean, is the wheelchair just for comfort while he's there?
Yeah,
the whole time?
I think so because after. Which he was kind of making some like funny noises. He took my stuff and how you doing? And he signed it and he was like, and I had like a special pen that I was having them sign with, and he took it and like his assistant, he started like writing on his face and shit with it. And I was like, all right, dude. So I met him, and as soon as I was done with him, I saw that Randy Quaid, who's also from Christmas Vacation, he didn't have really anybody in line at the time, so I just went up, shot the shit with him for a little bit. I was able to meet Stanley and Oscar from The Office, and they were super awesome. Very, very friendly, very chatty. Rosario Dawson, she killed it. She looked beautiful. I mean, it was really, really cool. So lots of really cool stuff, man.
Well, dude, Randy Quaid is he's quite the conspiracy theorist on Twitter, right?
Yeah, he is.
It's weird.
So I don't know. He's a big pro-Trumper too. So how was that?
He didn't say anything about. I mean, obviously, their job is to go and just appeal to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And like, so they don't get. He was bigger than I thought. And so was Chevy Chase. I think
taller,
just bigger people.
He's 6'5".
Oh,
Randy
Randy
Quaid.
Quaid is 6'5".
I think he's 6'5", and Chevy Chase is like 6'3".
Jesus.
Like did not expect that at all.
He had a big old beard. Randy Quaid did.
What was cool about it is once Chris left, unfortunately, like, and I totally get why. Like he had his little son, and he was like not having it.
Well, he was cool about it at the beginning,
Yeah.
and like he was like, oh look, he could. There was some people dressed up, but it was just like if I went and dressed up,
Sure,
it wasn't like
there was like Star Wars was very like there was some very good Star
a lot
Wars
of
costumes.
Star Wars stuff, and then he was like,
Warhammer.
oh look at that, and
Yeah.
he didn't. I mean, he wasn't into anything else besides the people.
I think what was cool for me
Gotcha.
was like, and it was very busy. It did kind of slow down because Hayden Christensen started doing his show thing. So everybody went to that convention center. So it kind of like emptied out a little bit after you left. But what was kind of fun about it was like wherever you walked, like you would bump into somebody. Like what's his name? Kevin Smith, is that his name? From oh geez, what he does Mallrats and all that. Like he like walked right by me, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's like Kevin Smith, man. And you see him in person. I got bumped by the bad guy from Karate Kid, the dude that's now in Cobra Kai. Like he came up, like he was actually walking beside me, and I'm just like looking around, and I kind of like he bumped my shoulder, and I turned, and I was like, oh sorry, and he's like, oh you're good. I'm like, oh wow, that's like So there was a lot of like it's cool that they're all kind of mingling and everybody's doing their thing, and everybody seems to have a good time with it. But there's different there's different conventions for different things, D23, Greg, I was telling you about that. That's more of like gaming and trailers and like insight on that. Comic-Con's more of like new releases and everything. So there's levels to it. And I didn't really understand that before, but so I had a great time. I got all the autographs I wanted to. I think I left at about 6:30, got home at about 10, or whatever it was.
Dude. Okay.
And my feet hurt, my back hurts from standing. But I enjoyed it, man. I actually really enjoyed it. It was nice to get up to Dallas, and I had a great drive home. I think you did too.
We drove through a gnarly storm on the way home.
Yes, we did.
Ooh, okay.
And like a storm chaser passed me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because he had flashing
saw.
lights and huge cameras on the top of their car.
Yeah. It was it was like a storm chaser vehicle, bro.
Yeah,
I've never seen one of those.
I'm like driving along, and I'm like, we're doing like 20 miles an hour, and my windshield wipers are like full blast.
Yep.
Everyone's like got their hazards on. There's hail and fucking lightning and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy.
You left at like 1, right? Like I think you left or text me about 1 o'clock. I was in line. You're like, hey man, I think we're just going to bounce, like van's ready to go. So it was around that time.
Yeah, it was around 2, 3 probably, because we
so
stopped and had lunch on the way home.
Yeah.
So like we're driving, and I'm just like, and there's lightning fucking bolts coming down everywhere. And Van's sitting there. He's like, whoa, look at all. He's seeing all the lightning and stuff. And then I like pick up my phone and I start recording. And then as I'm recording, the car passes us, and it's got like flashers and cameras. I'm like, is that a fucking storm chaser?
Yeah.
Like, am I about to drive through a tornado right now?
Yeah. When I put the maps up to get home, there was 2 thunderstorm advisories on the map.
Yeah.
And so outside, I mean, when Chris went through, it was like Waxahachie area. When I went through, it was like, north of Waco. So it kind of moved a little bit, and it hit like hard, bro. Like it was wild how aggressive it was. So I was going about 20 miles per hour on the highway. So was everybody else with their flashers on. And what was cool about when I went through was like black, and then like on the right side was like really nice sun. So it was like hard to see because it was beaming through like this,
Yep.
And then and in Waco, I got stuck for about 30 minutes because a semi truck rolled over on the highway. And so that was a little bit of a delay, but I was driving through and I was just like, it was funny. Chris listened to the same shit I did. I put on Joe Rogan. The minute I left, I put on Joe Rogan with Jelly Roll, his interview.
Yeah.
And I was just cruising. They were listening to music and shit on it. And I just had my arm out the window when it wasn't raining. And I was just like, I fucking love this state, man. It was so pretty. And it's such a nice drive. And then to hear Jelly Roll, he was like so like reassuring and like positive, dude. And I just felt good.
Oh yeah.
I did. I remember just thinking like, this is because there was no kids in the car. Not my kids are great, but I'm saying it was just me. I had I had the music or the podcast going, and I was just like, man, this is just beautiful. It's a beautiful place to drive through. So it was a great day. It was a really great day.
And then the storm hit.
But you know what's funny? The storm, and I think Chris will agree with me. After being here, there's almost a peaceful element. Now the heavy rain's tough, but I'm saying like when you see the clouds and the thunder and all that stuff, like it's pretty, dude.
I love storms.
I know. I'm learning to like really like. I like going to sleep to them. I enjoy them a lot, actually. So it was good. It was very good. I wish you were there, man. It would have been fun. So
Right on,
in the
dude.
future.
Well, yeah, we'll plan one here. I think one in October-ish.
There's one in October. There's one coming up in a month, which I think we might go to with the kids because it has the cast of like, what's the Game of Thrones are all there.
Ooh.
And it also has a bunch of people, like the Spider-Man guy, the actual dude, Garfield or whatever his name is. It has
Andrew Garfield.
The Scarlet Witch.
Holland.
Garfield.
Oh, okay.
It has Scarlet Witch is going to be there. I mean, there's like some real big names on that one. And Joe was like, you know.
That's the one I was actually kind of bummed about the most because we told him like what it was I was taking him to.
Mm-hmm.
So he was excited to like get a picture with like Spider-Man or see Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't really anybody dressed up like that.
Yeah.
There was like one guy I seen, he was wearing like a pajama outfit that was like Spider-Man.
There was a couple later in the day that I saw that were pretty good, but that's when you just got to tell him like, hey, that's Spider-Man right there. And he doesn't know what Spider,
he doesn't know.
So yeah, I think depending on your age, you know, like I think my daughters would really like it because they like the actual actresses a lot and they know them. So yeah, it just depends. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was a very long weekend. And now we're here. It's Monday.
Hell yeah.
And we start a new
Bada
week.
bing, bada boom.
One of our favorite places to be.
Before we really get diving on some of these articles, I do want to point out that on Thursday, we might be trying something a little different. Greg, you want to explain that?
Yes. Yeah. So Thursdays, we are going to have half of the episode be free. It's going to be a public episode, and then the other half will be Patreon only.
Yep.
We were originally just doing Patreon only, but then we're like, hey, why don't we just open this up, you know, and like try to draw more viewers in and get more people involved with the Patreon side of things. And so we'll kind of tease the Patreon content. We'll tell you kind of what we're going to talk about. And if you want to, you know, sign up, feel free. I mean, we do every episode on Friday are still going to be Patreon only.
Yep.
We do a call-in show on Fridays. Once a month, at the very end of the month, we actually do a Zoom party. Okay. So we actually get to see everybody's face. It's freaking super fun, dude. Sometimes those go hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can.
Yeah.
Patreon's a lot of fun.
Depending on how much beers I have.
It's been a little chaotic recently. Brass tacks and stuff. We were going to get back to that eventually here. And Strange Sauna, we had a lot of people asking about when you're going to have a Strange Sauna episode out. So we do other things. It's been a little lot going on right now with the new change. And then also me and Chris are going to be moving here soon. And so, you know, for the next couple months, it's going to be real hit and miss, but you'll get some great content out for sure. But it will get back to normal shortly.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, and then you know, just with the change in the podcast, you know, we have a lot more promotion, a lot more clips and stuff that I'm making. So
yeah,
it's there's a lot of things that take up my time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So,
for sure.
But I mean, I do have a lot of content already on there as far as Strange Sauna goes. So if you sign up, you get to go back and watch all of those previously.
Well, the same thing too with everything. Honestly, all the past full Patreon episodes and stuff. Once you sign up, you have access. You can go back and watch all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the call-in shows are definitely the
call-in shows are fun.
This is the fun stuff, man. This is a lot of fun conversations. So as far as today goes, man, there's a bunch of small stuff going on. In my opinion, I don't think anything is like, we have got to talk about this. It's all it's all fun. It's interesting. It's going to be, some of it's probably funny. Some of it's, you know, rather serious. The one thing I want to start off with is the JPMorgan, if you guys don't mind.
Sure, dude.
We had talked about this a couple weeks ago, actually maybe even longer than that.
Yeah.
JPMorgan was kind of caught up in some lawsuits. I think, Chris, you even brought this to the table at that point. But they actually just agreed to settle with the Jeffrey Epstein victim class action lawsuit. Now, I want to be clear with this, that, you know, them settling is not a form of guilt. You got to say that shit. You know, people settle all the time. We talked about it with Trump. People say like, well, he settled out, so that means that he's guilty. No. It could just mean you don't want to deal with this shit. You'd rather just pay everybody off and have it go away. But they did. They ended up settling. The amount is unknown at this point. But they came out and they made some statements here about the situation. And I thought it was, I mean, they probably handled it as about as good as you could handle it. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those, like, they're kind of in a weird position with it. They said, we all now understand that Epstein's behavior was monstrous, and we believe this settlement is in best interest of all parties, especially the survivors who suffered unimaginable abuse at the hands of this man. Quote, an association with him was a mistake, and we regret it. We would have never have continued to do business with him if we believed he was using our bank in any way to help commit heinous crimes.
So basically, we're sorry we got caught.
Well, dude, I mean, you could look at it that way. And I think that's a very fair assessment. You could also look at it like, you know, what my argument was, not that I believed it per se, but kind of throwing it out there was, how much did they actually know? At least the vast majority of the company. How much did they really know? I don't know, you know, what that would be.
I mean, somebody there had to know.
Somebody knew. I mean, obviously, right? It's most likely a couple or a handful of people that kind of knew that, you know, allowed things to happen. Because I doubt the whole JPMorgan as a whole was like, we know exactly what this guy does and what he's doing, and we're just
like the little people down below. Yeah, I'm sure. Like,
well,
like
even probably some executives that are probably just like, that's not their job, so they don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, because I think I'm trying to remember like when we first talked about this and kind of like what my mindset was on it. Part of me is like, you know, I remember being a little like undecided on how I felt about it, because I'm like, listen, if you're a criminal, not even just Jeffrey Epstein, but like, let's say you're a criminal.
Yeah.
Should the banks just cease to do business with you? And that was kind of my thing is he for a long time was working, even before charges came out and all that stuff. Like, he was getting himself in with lots of money, you know, whether legal or not, he had a lot of money. And so I guess the point would have been like, he's always had a lot of money in there going in and out. I'm sure at some point buying big stuff, you know, fancy shit. Did they assume that the whole thing was for like the trafficking issues and all that stuff? The victims, or did they say like, hey, this guy's got a lot of money? Like, yes, he was convicted of a crime or accused of a crime. Do you just stop?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like JPMorgan Chase is like the fall guy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's funnel money through this bank. Yeah, we got a guy who says that it's okay. You know, like, he's like a CEO. He'll allow all these transactions to go, because to my understanding, there were numerous transactions that were flagged and that were never really appropriate. Like, they weren't addressed appropriately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like you had plenty of warning signs that this guy was shoveling dough into your business. And you never really took the time to figure out what was going on there.
Which, does that surprise you at all? I mean, because to me,
kind of, yeah, because that's why they have those laws. Well, I mean, that's like shit that people go to prison for, dude.
Well, here's the deal. Like, you know, this is definitely not a defense for him. I'm trying to look at it from a bank perspective. And we've seen this with just average citizens and famous people, right? Like tax evasion, for example. Like, they'll come down on you with an iron fist, bro. But like, it seems that like celebrities or people with a lot of money, they don't get the same treatment, which is crazy. To me,
yeah, I mean, look at Hunter Biden. I mean, the SS, what is it? Not SSRIs, but it's suspicious activity reports, SARs.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I wonder if
you have those things put in for a reason, bro. I mean, if you're having a transaction above a certain amount of money, you have to fill out one of these suspicious activity reports.
Yeah,
no matter what. Yeah. And I don't know if JPMorgan did on every single one.
They didn't. I don't think they did at all.
No.
But then it raised the question, so why wouldn't they? Why would they not follow through? Are they looking at it in a greed aspect of saying like, hey, man, like, let's not rock this boat. This guy's bringing a ton of money in.
Or are they getting kickbacks, you know? Well, or are they being blackmailed? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to speak on that because there is no proof that there's kickbacks.
I mean, it could be a combination of everything, honestly.
Yeah, and if there was ever a point where evidence came out that they were actually receiving money from him to allow him to continue, that would be very bad. That would be very, very bad.
And like you said, like JPMorgan Chase being the fall guy, I guarantee you that's not the only institution he used.
Nope.
He probably used 50 different fucking banks or whatever to do whatever he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that the people that filed the lawsuit are going to get something out of it, and they obviously agreed to the terms, so they are happy with the amount. That they got.
The banks and the lawyers came out and said the settlement is in the best interest of all parties, especially the survivors who were the victims of Epstein's terrible abuse.
Yeah, and so they get it. They understand, and that's the thing is like here going forward, the question would be, did they learn a lesson from this? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they going to continue to allow these uber popular or very rich people to get away with everything, knowing that they're going to have a lawsuit possibly if they don't take action?
Well,
like
I definitely think they're probably going to have to be on their toes more, because I feel like if something like this was to pop up again, they're probably not just going to be able to settle so easily.
So this was just to clarify the lawsuit, this is the U.S. Virgin Islands against JPMorgan Chase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we've seen this with social media, man. They get huge lawsuits. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Sandman and all these other things, right? Where they lie and they pay huge amounts of money and then they continue to do this shit.
Yeah.
And they continue to take, piss out money to people because they lie about it.
So in the complaint, the U.S. Virgin Islands said, quote, this Department of Justice investigation, so this is, quote, revealed that JPMorgan knowingly, negligently, and unlawfully provided and pulled the levers through which recruiters and victims were paid and was indispensable to the operation and concealment of the Epstein trafficking enterprise. So JPMorgan Chase was at the center of this whole thing. That's what they were arguing. It wasn't like a bunch of little tiny banks like carrying money. Like all of the money funneled through JPMorgan Chase. That's what they were arguing.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that with as much money that was being thrown around, that JPMorgan Chase was the only one they were using.
Why not? I mean, if
because
you can get away with it and you have a program that works, like why go somewhere else and risk it?
Because I just feel like it'd be.
I feel like people diversify their money.
Not just that, but I just feel like why would you put all the risk on one entity?
This isn't just a normal person like divesting money. Like this is a, intelligence operation.
Well, I know, but even those guys like will put money overshore or overseas, different overseas accounts. Like they don't put all their money in one account. Zero chance of that. Because if something goes wrong or the bank collapses or something, like you're losing everything. Like
so I'm not. Maybe he didn't store his money there, but that's where these transactions were taking place, is through this bank.
A lot of them.
Like you could have money stored at a different bank, but then have it transferred to JP Morgan and do the transfer there. You know what I mean?
And maybe the accusations were just that because that's all that they know about. That's all that they've seen. It doesn't mean the whole operation itself wasn't bigger than that.
Well, JP Morgan CEO Jamie, is it Dimon? D-I-M-O-N? I think this Dimon? I don't know. But he sat for a deposition with the lawyers of the victims, and it said that after he had testified, that's when this whole thing came through. This is a quote here. Our CEO reaffirmed after his position that he has previously said that he never met with him, never emailed him, does not recall ever discussing his accounts internally, and was not involved in any decision about his account. JP Morgan said in a statement at the time, quote, there are millions and millions of emails and other documents that have been produced in this case, and not one comes close to suggesting that he had any role in the decisions about Epstein's account. So that's their take. That like there was no actual singular, he's working with him.
Yeah, they're saying prove it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're saying the documents are there. Bring me the document if you have it. That's what JP Morgan's saying. And they're saying there is no document. I don't know.
That's what the CEO says. Like the CEO is trying to get his butt out of trouble.
Well, no, they have millions of documents that's been released. So that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying is that you have millions of documents. You have different stuff going on here. And there is not one that says that he was tied in with any of this. There's no the big man shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and now, not saying he didn't, but we've said it before. Like, if you're going to do these things, you have to show some proof in order for people to really buy into it. Otherwise, there's always going to be that lingering question of, did he really or did he not? And
so in that statement, though, the CEO was speaking about himself personally, right? He was separating himself from the company. He said the CEO reaffirmed after his deposition that, as he previously said, that he never met with him, Jeffrey, never emailed Jeffrey.
No, it says JP Morgan said in a statement at the time.
Yeah, they were
talking about him.
Yeah.
Not he wasn't talking about himself.
I get you.
So, but to be fair, like, listen, they obviously paid out a settlement, so they felt like this could be drawn out, long-winded, and they clearly were just like, it's in our best interest and theirs just to pay and get this over with.
Yeah.
So now I will really not know unless some new groundbreaking thing pops up, which may, it could.
Could be.
I mean,
it also could have been like, hey, we're in a position right now where they haven't found or don't have what they need to prove this. Let's end it right now before. Whoa, shit.
Oh, damn.
Oh, you got some music going?
Just
that must be a Fox News article.
It is Fox.
Yeah, man.
They don't have or haven't found what they need to prove what they're trying to get us on. Let's just try to settle and end this before they actually do find it.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
That is possible. But to their point, they did say that they've released millions of emails.
True. But I mean, how long does it take to go through all that kind of shit?
Yeah.
Like, let's release it and then let's settle before they have a chance to.
Maybe with modern AI and shit like that, you could
but
probably
you have to be
skim through
very
them.
specific on what you're looking for.
Yeah. We don't know.
Just like all those papers we've seen where they purposely misspell things in documents so that you couldn't find stuff.
I mean, we're not going to know. We're not going to know. And the truth is just like every other settlement in history, like it's a done deal at this point, up to this point. And both parties are satisfied, which means that we have to, kind of just go, okay. I mean, unless something new comes out.
Yeah, because that's kind of how a settlement works, right? They both have to agree to it.
Yeah.
Crocodile done deal. That's what I like to say.
So that's an interesting story that is kind of settled, because I think for a while we kind of thought this was going to go nowhere, honestly, and they ended up settling. Mm-hmm. Good for them. Good for the Virgin Islands or wherever. They get some money coming in. So
okay, yeah.
What do you got, Greg?
Well, I mean, so just going off of that, and as far as like following up on things that we've kind of known about, Joe Biden referred to as the big guy. Remember this?
Oh, yeah.
So this came out, the first reference to Joe Biden becoming the big guy came out in an email right before the 2020 election. And the email basically was referring to Joe Biden as the big guy. So the email referenced 10 held by H, Hunter, for the big guy. Okay. Now, the email was from businessman James Giller to Hunter Biden, and that was on May 27th or May 13th, 2017. But this is now separate. So remember the whistleblower. Remember the document that they're trying to get, the James Comer and all this stuff, right? They're trying to get Christopher Wray to hand over this FD 1023. And what you find out is on that form, the whistleblower also stated that Joe Biden was referred to as the big guy.
Oh, so this one document is kind of bringing them all in together.
Yeah.
It's like
so it's kind of solidifying the story, right?
It's another step forward for sure.
So this is at the beginning of this. So this is the Washington Examiner. It says President Joe Biden was referred to as the big guy by Ukrainian oligarch who owned the Hunter Biden employing agency giant Burisma.
Yeah.
So Mykola Zlochevsky?
Yeah, sure.
He owns Burisma, and he was the foreign national involved with alleged criminal bribery scheme detailed in the FBI confidential human source form. And Zlochevsky referred to Joe Biden as the big guy during a conversation a number of years before the June 2020 date of the Bureau form, according to the similar or sources familiar with the FBI record who described its content to the Washington Examiner. So this is completely separate, from that the first big guy email.
So it just kind of affirms a little bit. I mean, this is like a step in like, hey, there's other documents showing that.
Well, this is another piece of evidence that he's going to be able to link Joe Biden to probably a number of different things now. Because how many emails or how many different things was the big guy mentioned before this?
Yeah,
about a bunch of different things.
Just find the big guy in all these government documents, and that's Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like, so essentially,
even like now, during when he was a senator and like vice president, like all that stuff. Like, he was probably referring to himself a long time.
Is this enough?
Or
do you guys
BG?
think?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is this enough? Like getting this kind of document?
No,
not
it's
enough.
It's just more circumstantial evidence. You know what I mean? That adds up and it piles up and go, okay, well, he was. So he was actually referred to as the big guy. Now, this is a confidential human source. A trusted source, remember, that the FBI has used for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So even the FBI trusts this guy. So I'm just saying, like, this confidential human source said that, yes, Joe Biden was referred to as the big guy, a completely separate country. The first one was for China, a payment for China, 10.
Yeah.
Hold on to this 10 for the big guy. That was a China deal. This is now a Ukrainian deal.
Mm-hmm.
Listen up, everybody. We love GhostBed. They have been a loyal sponsor with the Drinking Bros over the past 5 years, and everybody raves about them. They have super comfortable mattresses that last forever, and they're made in the USA.
Yeah, guys, every mattress has a 20-year warranty, some even 25. You can try it out for 101 nights. If you don't like it, you can send it right back. No hard feelings.
One of our favorite parts about these ghost beds is that they have the cooling technology built into each and every mattress. So if you have those hot nights like you do down there in Texas, it's a lifesaver.
It's going to be 105 this week, and I got a ghost bed myself, so I'm going to keep it nice and cool down there, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, Ghost Bed also offers bundles, so you can get everything you need. You don't really even have to think about it. You just choose from their 4 mattresses, then pick your bundle. So whether you want a mattress and a frame or you want it all, like the pillows, sheets, all that great stuff, you get the best bang for your buck with those bundles.
Right now, GhostBed is offering 40% off GhostBed bundles where you get a mattress and an adjustable base, or you get 30% off of everything else if you just use the code DrinkinBros at ghostbed.com/DrinkinBros.
Yeah, man. You can buy a mattress for as little as $35 a month. They have a $0 down, 0% financing plan for up to 60 months. Go check it out at ghostbeds.com/DrinkinBros. It is awesome.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, what is that smell? That's a rusty, crusty, piss-soaked default mattress. Get that out of here, okay? GhostBed RV mattresses. Get yourself an RV mattress for 30% off using the code DrinkinBros.
Yeah, man. If your mattress looks like a saltine cracker, it's time to upgrade, okay? Get that GhostBed right now.
Get it out of here.
Ghostbed.com/DrinkinBros.
He's spreading it out.
I mean, listen, this stuff is stacking up on him right now.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, whether you want to say that, like, we're at a point where we can really say that he is guilty for sure, a lot of people would debate that. But the problem that he's having is that this is not going away.
Yeah.
This is like Bud Light.
Yeah,
bro.
regardless of how hard they have tried to make this kind of disappear,
Yeah.
it just keeps piling up.
Yeah, that's not good for him. And let's say just in the fake world that he is innocent, it still doesn't look good for him because there's just too much shit here. And I don't think for a second he's innocent.
No,
I'm just saying, like,
way.
even if you were, there's so much information that it can't be ignored at this point. I think that's what you guys were saying before. How much does it have to happen to where you just can't ignore it? So,
well, and then you have stuff that's like this that kind of like trickles out in the news, and it makes you go, "Oh, I remember this."
Yeah.
He was called the big guy way back before the election, wasn't he? Oh, yeah. And then it makes you kind of recall and you recollect this whole, and then you put the pieces together.
I think for me, one of the big things about this whole thing, all this stuff coming out, is it's the entirety of the situation that I think is what's crazy. If he was well liked and doing a decent job, people would support him and they would say, like, no, I don't buy this. Kind of like Trump, right? Like all this stuff comes out against Trump, but his base loves him so much that they are willing to, even when he may be at fault for certain things, like they're not willing to go after him for those things. With Biden, we just get more and more examples of him falling, wearing masks. Dude, that white fucking mask on his face is so weird, dude.
Did you see that, Greg?
No.
He was wearing, what was he? Where was he at?
He was doing like a conference. He was doing something. He was speaking.
He was speaking at somewhere, and he would turn, and I don't know if he was like had something on his face or they like powdered his face, but his face was so white, and there was a distinct line right on the jawline.
Yeah. And it's been shared multiple times. Like
was it that sunscreen? You know what I mean? That stuff that's like pretty chalky.
No, I mean, it looked chalky. And like he walked off the stage and people were like, what is up with this face? Like not a lot of people went to the mask realm, but they're like, there's something on his face.
He's definitely wearing a lot of makeup or something.
But it's a combination of him falling constantly.
Well, now think about this, guys, because he does have skin cancer, right? He just had a diagnosis of skin cancer not that long ago, right? He had it removed.
Yeah.
So he might have that thick fucking sunscreen. And he probably uses the stuff that is not cancerous. Like
I don't know if this was outside.
Good stuff.
It didn't look like it was outside.
I mean, listen,
you might just put it on his skin.
I know, but here's the deal.
Like when you're Dracula for that long, dude, and you're sucking on blood.
Yeah, but the problem, dude, is like, even if that was, like, you would come out and say, like, hey, the president got diagnosed with skin cancer. He's going to be wearing a cream. Don't be alarmed by it. Like, I feel like it's so egregious, like the whiteness of this, that it's like you're stirring the pot here.
I'm going to try to find it.
I have it on my TikTok, I think, dude. But you're stirring the pot here. Like, you're allowing the conspiracy to run wild because you're not saying anything about it.
But who does that benefit? That benefits Biden, right?
I don't know if that's it, dude, or not.
Because
does it
then
benefit Biden?
It allows them to point at conspiracy theorists and be like, look how ridiculous these fucking people are.
Just look up Biden white face or something. I mean, sure. But at the same time, like, his press secretary is not doing a good job of helping him. He's not doing a good job helping him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not up there speaking. He's not up there. Like, because, I mean, you'll see articles that just say, like, Biden is at a loss for words when asked about X, Y, and Z. All these different things that are popping up. He really can't defend it. And so, I mean, yes, there's some, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, I think people are just sick of him. I think they realize how old he is. And I think that they're on top of the fact that he's gotten all these things coming out against him. I think people are just ready to let him go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of over it. He doesn't have the support.
Well, we'll see.
Anymore. So,
well, yeah, if you guys can't find it, this kind of leads into another thing that I wanted to get your take on. And so Trump came out, he just spoke at the Georgia, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he said, quote, "This is the final battle with you at my side. We will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country." So that being said, there's a clip that I bookmarked, Chris, on the Twitter. And this is a segment of Jim Comey. I was going to say James Comey, but I guess it's the same thing. Talking to Jen Psaki, okay? And he is speaking about the Retribution presidency. So imagine if Trump wins, okay? What does 4 years of a Retribution presidency look like? He's going to go after everybody. He's going to go after his political opponents. I think I'm on that list.
Okay.
And it looks like, you know how we have YouTube setting up this disinformation, like they got rid of their disinformation policy for the presidential election, right?
Yeah.
Or at least they softened it so you can talk about that. So it looks like Jim Comey is also kind of out there softening the blow and getting people ready for what might happen. You know, if Trump wins, will he go after the people that went after him and falsely accused him of Russiagate, falsely went through all this FISA, warrants that were illegal? They did not have the evidence. They were changing the evidence.
Let's see what he says here.
Yeah, listen to this clip.
God, I don't miss
You said that Trump poses a near existential threat to the rule of law. And this is something, similar language that I hear privately from national security officials, some people you and I both know, who will say this privately about what a second term could mean. But tell me a little bit about the specifics of what he could try to do. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies. I'm sure I'm on the enemies list. Because the president constitutionally does oversee the executive branch entirely, which includes the Department of Justice, prosecutors and investigators. And so he could direct that individuals be pursued. He could also direct all kinds of other conduct that people would maybe take to court to try to stop. But who enforces court orders? Mostly the United States Marshals Service, which is in part of the executive branch and reports to the president. And so President Trump could say, I don't care what the Supreme Court says or these district judges say. I'm telling the Marshals Service, don't enforce the court order. And so our Constitution really does give a rogue president, which is what this would be, tremendous power to destroy. And so that's why I'm trying to warn people. Given the way he said he intends to operate if he's reelected, this will be something we could never have imagined. Again, it seems like...
So you could never imagine having this rogue presidency because, God forbid, somebody votes for Trump.
Isn't that kind of what didn't he just describe the Biden presidency?
That's what I was just going to say.
Right?
You're talking all the stuff you're saying.
All the stuff, you're just fragrantly sending money to different countries. You're directing the DOJ. You're directing all these. You're attacking your political rivals this whole time.
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly what I thought the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like,
but the only difference is that the Biden admin is actually actively using the DOJ to go after their political opponents now.
Yeah.
The difference here would be Trump would use the U.S. Marshal Service, which can go above and beyond and just say, hey, screw it, right? The military be like, hey, DOJ, Supreme Court, I don't care what you say. We're not going to do that.
See, the question comes down to will he? You know, I think that's the big question. Will he actually do it? You're saying it because your base kind of feels it and they like hearing it, right? They want to feel like you're going to get some vengeance for all the shit you've been through.
And maybe you're scared.
I just don't know if he actually goes through with it.
That's to your point, Dave. I mean, he talked about locking Hillary up.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
He did.
And he never did that.
He talked about draining the swamp the entire election before he was president.
And he hired the swamp on his
that's
his cabinet.
That's not a criticize, because I do agree to some that, like, you need to shed some light on this, and he was trying to work with both sides, I feel like, in some aspects. I just don't know if he actually goes through with it, because here's the deal: the country's in rough shape, man. Let's be very honest. As a whole, rates are too high. People are not working, making as much money as they should. Taxes are too high. Inflation
but why
is high.
Why is the country in bad shape?
Policy.
Because of these people.
I know, but
why would he not want to get rid of these people?
Well, here's the thing that you got to just remember, though. I agree with you that absolutely that is it. But he's already ran, he's already served, and he gets 4 years. Right? There is no this is not an 8-year term like a normal presidency has been, at least recently, right? Mm-hmm. So he's got 4 years, and we know how much they can tie him up in those 4 years. We've seen it. The 4 years he was in office, he was tied up and in defense mode a lot of the time. He was doing some great things, but he was also combating the attacks that were happening on a regular basis. Yeah. That's not going to go away.
Yeah, I think that was to Jim Comey's point. He's like, he would deploy the U.S. Marshal Service that would go above the orders of the court, right? And so Trump was tied up with his policies and whatnot because of court orders. I mean, a lot of them, like, hey, a judge reversed this, a judge reversed that, right? So with this, when it comes to arresting somebody because you think that they're, quote, an enemy and you're seeking retribution, it's like, no, if you broke the law and you're a criminal, you go to jail.
I agree.
FBI is included in that. Like Comey, signing these court orders, these FISA warrants illegally and not having the evidence to go after, a sitting president.
Well, because Comey came out and said he's going to do these investigations and shit. And if that's what it is, hey, if you did nothing wrong, you have nothing to be worried about. At least that's how we're supposed to think of it, right? Now, let's be fair. You could do nothing wrong and still have a lot to worry about with our system. But at the same time, you're right, Greg, that if you did something wrong, you should go after it. But my concern is listen, are people going to be happy? Are they going to be, okay, if Trump wins, hypothetical, Trump wins, do they want him to change the country around and get us back on track to being successful like we were when he was president before? Get gas prices down, get inflation under control, get us back into being energy sufficient, all this stuff, right? Or do they want him just to go on a vengeance tour, like a scorched earth?
Both.
Yeah, but here's
why can't you have both?
I feel like you could, as soon as you were to get in, if you were to kind of just put things back the way you had it, all that stuff would happen by itself. All that getting things back on track, the economy and that kind of stuff would start happening. Yeah,
you take away a lot of the regulations, and a lot of the free market will kind of go towards the way of productivity, and you know what I mean?
Listen, man, I don't know if we're in that same boat. I don't know that it's going to be as smooth as it was last time. So the country was rough when Obama left, right? Like, we can agree on that. There were some things that were pretty rough, but Biden, and we can't deny that people have said over and over again that we never saw a collapse like this, as far as all these things going wrong at record paces. Yeah. I'm not entirely convinced that those two can fall in order in the same, on an 8-year term. Yes.
One thing that I was not convinced of is that the presidency had as much power to sway things within the country. And boy, oh boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, right.
Because look at what Joe Biden has done in, less than 4 years, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if he can do that in less than 4 years, then Trump can turn it back around.
No, see, I disagree with that. I actually think that, like, sometimes, like, fixing damage is much harder of a process than causing damage.
Building bridges is harder than tearing them down.
There's definitely, like, a belief and culture thing that's disrupted the whole country, which is going to take a lot longer than 4 years to kind of turn around and get back to where we were, if that's even, or just onto a different thing. But I feel like the economy, like prices, jobs, that kind of shit would be able to flip when you needed it to.
Yeah, like gas prices, oil.
I think people's attitudes and cultural issues, that's what would take the longest. But I think a lot of, not a majority, but there's a good portion of that would probably change as soon as they saw the country going in a better direction.
Well, yeah, and then the culture change, I think that's what's happening right now is, I mean, this Biden presidency is waking a lot of people up. It's hopefully changing a lot of people's minds saying,
well,
like, hey,
I wouldn't say just waking people up. It's pissing people off.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. They're going like, wait a second, I voted for this guy because I thought he was better than Trump, and now I'm seeing like my life fucking sucks. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but there's some people that go, hey, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like the way we pulled out of Afghanistan. I don't like the rising gas prices. I don't like supporting the Ukraine war because what's going on over there.
Listen, you know what I mean? I totally agree with you. But I think that, like, I just feel like we're kind of underselling like how much of an uphill battle this is going to be. Like, no man is going to, I mean, I hope he does, but I'm saying the idea that he's going to be able to come in like with the Obama quote or the magic wand. I mean, he did before make a lot of great changes, and a lot of what he was doing was defensive shit, you know, that he was battling, right? A lot of accusations. He got up there, and luckily he was able to speak those through pretty well. But at this point, I'm not all that convinced that both can be done at the same pace in a 4-year term, because there's going to be a lot more stuff that's going to come on him. He's going to have to go on defense again.
Yeah.
He's going to start attacking, and I know that's not all on him. That's the DOJ, FBI, and all that stuff. That's if you can get them to do it. Okay, because the swamp is very muddy right now. So I'm what I'm asking at the end of the day is like, you as a citizen, all three of us, do you want to see the country get turned around in 4 years? If that's like, hey, we can do one of two, we can't do them both. Let's say that's the thing, right? Do you want to see the country on track, or do you want to see them go after people? Because
I don't think we can. I don't think we can get on track until you get the fucking people out of there, bro.
Yeah,
like.
I don't think. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think you can go get the way you want things completely the way it should be without doing both.
I mean, if we went through a year of
you'll be able to get to
lockdowns,
a certain point, but I mean, with corrupt people like still in all these institutions, you're only going to get so far.
We went through like a year of lockdowns and a year of COVID restrictions and a year of like blah blah blah. Like that sucked, bro. If we can go through that. Then if we have to wait 6 months to a year of, okay, before we turn this around, we got to take care of these individuals, and it takes 6 months to a year to do that, then fucking let's do it, dude. Like, just what are we waiting for? Let's clean the plate. Let's start over.
Well, I'm just saying, I feel like there needs to be an order of operation right here. I feel like you need to come in and you need to have a really, like, Trump, if it's Trump, you need to come in and have a really clear goal, and this is what we're going to do. And try to accomplish. Now, you can make things better, sure.
Do you think he doesn't have that?
I think he has a goal, but I don't know that he's going to be able to accomplish both of what you're saying. I do not think that he's going to be able to get rid of the swamp as easy as he says. And I don't think that with that happening at the same time, because that would engulf the news, right? I don't know that I'm sure he can put some executive orders in place and we can get some things kind of starting to work better. But I feel like this is a thing, like this is a problem that would be a 2-term problem. And he doesn't have it.
I don't know. I mean, what's your evidence to prove that?
What do you mean? What's my evidence to prove it?
That it's a 2-term thing?
That's a 2-term problem.
Because I feel like we've all said, and everybody has said, that he was in for 4 years and there was a lot of positive, but there was a lot that was left unfinished. And this is worse probably than when he came in the first time.
I think it's going to go in like a 3-step thing. I think if he gets into the presidency again, I think it's going to be an initial direction change. Like that's going to be the whole executive order part of it.
Just like Biden did. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like Biden, like how he's going to change the direction initially. And then it will go into, we need to take care of all these people. And then it would finish out with the directional thing.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this seems like a 2-president thing.
I don't know.
I think that he can come in and do things, but I think that I wish that he had, or we knew.
Unless he just comes in and the fucking country goes through whiplash.
Yeah. Well, what if it's not up to Trump? Like, what if it's like a U.S. Marshal taking over type of thing?
But see, then and that's a reasonable thought. But then you're like assuming again that like these. But
you're assuming this is a two campaign type of.
I'm being realistic. You're saying like what if so and so decides to take over? Just like we've heard before about like the military.
I'm just saying, like what Comey just said. I'm going off of what he just said. Right?
Yeah.
He could deploy the U.S. Marshals and they could just take care of the whole thing on the side where Trump's not even involved. You know what I mean?
Here's the deal.
And then Trump can just focus on the country.
I agree. But like to say that Trump's not involved is not going to be the case, man. You know that. If this is what's happening, it's going to be frontline news that Trump is getting some renegade marshals to do all this stuff. Like you're going to have problems with it. Yeah. And he's going to have to talk about it. And then they're probably going to try to say like, well, he's fucking Hitler and we need to fucking put him in, impeach him for this. Like what I'm saying is
I honestly don't think there's any way around that.
I don't think so either. Yeah. And that is my exact point that like, if you're tackling this major feat, what you guys are talking about is huge feats. I think he's a smart guy. I think he can do a lot, but I'm saying, I really honestly believe that we need to figure out like which one is the most important first and hit it. And then hope that the direction starts to change, that we get another Republican in office for 8 years afterwards that can finish the job. Because I don't believe that in 4 years this job's going to be finished. There's no way with the amount of problems
if it's me and we're going for the whiplash presidency, then you just go in heavy, like right at the beginning. Do the direction afterwards. Get it done. Get rid of fucked up people. Get rid of all the bullshit.
So go with the vengeance.
Yeah,
presidency.
I would.
That's what I'm asking.
I mean, after the last 7 years
like,
of
what else? What other option do we have? I mean, he could slow-trickle this thing and like hope for the best, but he could come out and say, the slate, dude.
He could come out and literally say, which would be perfect. He could come out and say, "Listen, I've been attacked, and it's time to clean this shit up, and we can't go forward as a country until all the bugs are out of the fucking mattress." You know
after this federal thing, if they go through this whole federal thing and it becomes nothing again.
Yeah.
Especially after that, it went to the highest fucking level and they had nothing, and you put them through all that for nothing.
Yeah.
It's game on after that.
I wish that there was somebody, because I know that right now Trump is the favorite, but I like to say DeSantis is the second, right? A lot of people with DeSantis are saying, and of course there's hit jobs on him left and right, which is expected. But a lot of people are saying DeSantis is the next. You know what I'm saying? Like he's jumping the order. Let this be Trump. This is Trump's moment. DeSantis, you deserve it, and you'll get it. You should be the next president. I wish that they had better communications, because if he could come out and say, I'm going to start this ball and we're going to get rid of the swamp and we're going to arrest everybody that needs to be arrested and we're going to hit this where it needs to be hit, and just know that when I'm done, we have really gifted people that are going to come in and finish this job, and like get people to get on board with this idea that like this is not a 4-year plan. This needs to be a 12-year plan.
Or just like a forever plan. Like,
well,
hey,
I know.
Let's not let this idea go that, hey, the intelligence agencies need to be dismantled because look what they did to our country.
This can never happen again.
You're not
look
wrong.
What they did to our president.
I'm trying to look at it shorter term, dude. That's all. 12. I'm just saying like a short term plan that we have to have, and then we can continue to add 10-year plans. But I just wish that there was more camaraderie when it comes to this stuff, because I feel like that's what's going to have to happen, and it may not be DeSantis. But it could, whoever that next person is, like he needs to say like, we have real talent in the Republican Party, and know that what I'm doing is just the beginning of what the next group's going to do. And we're going to finish this off and get it done the right way. Then I'm going to go, that's right. It's not going to be 4 years. This is going to take 8 to 12 to get this country clear.
To be honest, like we don't know. They could have had these conversations already.
They could have.
Yeah.
We don't.
Who knows?
Right.
We can just do an add-in on this one, Chris, just so you know, because we're way past. But yeah, no, I want to be clear that like I think Trump's going to be able to come in and do a lot of great things. That is not what I'm talking about. But I also am trying to understand too that he wasn't able to completely do this in 4 years that he had before. Now he could be more motivated and all that stuff, but he is a human being, and you have to rely on not just him, but you have to rely on all the other agencies and Senate, everything. Well, I mean, again, like sure. But the House, the Senate, all this stuff has to also work together to get this going, at least have control enough to get this going. And we've seen historically that often doesn't mean anything. You know, we could argue that there's new blood in there and that they're a little more motivated. Sure. But at the same time, we've seen where we have full control and nothing's really happening. So a lot of pieces have to fall in place for this to be a 4-year thing, which I think is more of an 8-year thing, at least.
But, but at the same time,
no matter how long it takes, like I feel like what Jim Comey was saying is what Trump will actually do. And I think that what he's trying to do is set everybody up, set this conversation up that Trump will be performing these actions because he's seeking revenge and he's not seeking justice, like the appropriate justice, right? Like if somebody went after you because you did something, right? Dave Smith had a really good analogy, like where I don't really remember it off the top of my head, but it's like, you know that this is wrong and he went after you in the first place. You did nothing wrong. You were proven to be innocent. And then so when you try to go investigate why they came at you with these charges, then everybody points the finger at you. Oh, he's seeking revenge. Yeah. It's like, no, it's like I was wronged. I want to find out why you wronged me. I should be able to do that.
Agree.
Yeah.
But you also just admitted that there is hiccups when you do this kind of stuff, which is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's not going to be able to come in and just do it like you guys are saying.
For sure, dude. Like, yeah, no one's like arguing on that point.
Oh, no, they're definitely going to try to frame it in a different way. But but the question is, if he was to get in there after all this in federal indictment shit, and if he was proven innocent once again, how many people are actually going to listen when they try to tell people that it's a vengeful presidency and he's just gone crazy?
I don't think that matters that much.
I think it does matter.
No, I don't think people are going to be swayed off of that because of that. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
That I don't think the vengeance thing is going to work that well. But we just talked about Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, all the shit's there. It's been there for 2 years plus. And, it's like, it's the same with the Clinton thing. Like, it's right there in front of your face and nothing's really happening. It's dragging along.
Well, and that kind of goes on your point too. Yeah, you have all this stuff, but there's nobody in there that's actually going to do it.
Well, yeah. And how messed up is the DOJ? How messed up is the FBI?
And that's also why, we have some good people in Congress and stuff right now that are trying to do things. But like you said, like nothing is actually getting done. That's because they're still also dealing with all that other bullshit that's still in place.
And that's all I'm saying is like these are things we've said it too many times where it's like it's taken a long time. This stuff takes time. And so how much can you get done in 4 years if you're doing actual, especially federal cases? You know what I'm saying? Treasonous cases in some aspects. Like you're talking about long stretches where we're just going to be like, eventually it's going to happen. Eventually it's going to happen, Well,
it depends on how long does a court-martial case take?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, those can be swift. Okay, done. In with the next. Yeah. Where's the evidence?
Well, and also you got to think about too, if you're thinking about on that side of things, nothing may be getting done, but if they were to start, they could be quick because they have the last 8-10 years of fucking evidence.
Maybe.
So once they start the actual execution of all this stuff, I mean, is it going to get dragged on or is it just going to be slam bam because everything's already there?
I don't know.
Yeah. Swift.
I don't know.
Swift justice. But then again, it's like, ooh, do you really? I mean, if the evidence there, it better be fucking good because I don't like the sound of that with no jury, no, you know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, listen, it's interesting, and I think that's what we've talked about before, that the next couple of years are going to be very interesting. And this is all assuming that things go the way we think they could go, right? There's always a chance that he doesn't even win.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're really in trouble.
Look what happened in 2020. Yeah. There are some chances that could happen again.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm going to say on that.
You know what I mean? And I have a lot of faith that he's going to do good things if he wins. It's nothing about that. It's just, listen, it's a tough job for anyone. It's a tough job for any group of people that have the same motive. So it's just like, you need to support and back this and hopefully he gets stuff done and hopefully it can continue through other presidencies as well so that we can get to a point where when our kids are old enough to vote, that we're in a system that feels like it's right for everybody again.
Yeah.
Hopefully not just feels like it. Hopefully it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I mean? I think having a feeling like you can trust the system is important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's always going to be weird shit. But right now, no one feels like this is justified or that like the elections are honest, that everything's honest. And it would be nice to get to a point where we at least have more positive than negative. And that's going to take a lot of work on this country's part and the people that are running.
Yeah, it definitely would take something very big to instill trust in people again.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's a good chance that when this stuff comes out, it divides even more,
Maybe.
So, we got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, war's always terrible, and this is kind of a war. It's always terrible, and then years down the road, people start to realize, like, oh, yeah, that was bad. So, I mean, Comey going to prison, for example, Hillary going to prison, like, you're going to start ruffling feathers of the other party, and there's going to be a lot of people that are saying, you are a dictator, you're this, and it's going to take years for them to realize that.
Will it be a lot of people, though? That's where I don't think it's as big as we think. Like, I think that the faction of the liberals that are screaming at these like protests and all that stuff, I don't think it's the majority of them, I don't think that we're as divided when it comes to us as, like civilians. I don't feel like we're that far apart. I feel like the ideas of the left and the right at the most extremes are, but I think those are really fringe.
No, I
collectively.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like as a group, I think everybody is pretty appropriate in the middle.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that or not, man. Even in this place that we're in right now, we have severe disagreements on a lot of them hate Trump. There's people in here that absolutely hate Trump. So
you can hate Trump, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to ideals and like morality and like what makes you a good human, like, do you want to live next to this person?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with that, dude. I agree with you on that. As far as like basic morality, sure. But I'm saying
and
party attacks are party attacks, dude. Like,
for sure.
They're going to say
if the evidence is there, if the evidence has been, hey, look at what these people did.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you
have
to come out with that.
It has to be.
It
has to be there, and it has to be clear and understandable to everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And it can't have a setup to where they go, well, he made this up or he did this.
Yep.
Like, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, yes, it's possible. But, this is a fragile case compared to other cases. Yeah. You have to be very clear, to your point, Greg. Very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think people are going to go after him and say that, like, this is a hit job.
Well, I think there's always going to be a portion of people that are like that.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, listen, I have my fingers crossed, man. And I feel like we're getting to a point where people are starting to see things, and it's a positive thing. But what will really happen?
Dude. I thought that it was just an eye-opening statement by Comey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And it reminded me of YouTube just kind of dissolving its disinformation policy about the 2020 election. It kind of reminds me of, what are they preparing everybody for? And then you have Trump saying, this is the final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
You take it for
there was another quote he did during that. He was like, about communism. He's like, either we let communism destroy America or America destroys communism.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Okay.
I mean, listen, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Like, I'm confident in a lot of things. I just think it's going to take time, a lot of time. You have to be very
I feel
fucking
like
patient,
here
dude.
in the next few months or whatever is when this road starts getting real bumpy and windy.
Yeah.
You think so, huh?
I think
next
so.
few months?
I think it's going to be
I
year, man.
think come the end of the year, it's going to like this. I think we better be ready for the ride.
Well, the Fed Now service starts in July. So we'll see what happens with the financial market too, once that kind of gets introduced.
It's good conversations, man. It was very interesting conversations, man. There's a lot of, I mean, it's an important thing to everybody that lives in this country, that you want to feel like the people that do wrong get justice and the people that are trying to make things better get some light. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that are criminals in this country.
I did see a little meme the other day of DeSantis, and they face swapped him on Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
And it was like the article, Trump gets a federal indictment, and then it switches to his face swap, and it goes, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Hey, he's going to do what he's got to do.
Lloyd Christmas.
I just hope that they end up coming together at some point, no matter what happens. Because to me, it's like, you may not like DeSantis or something, but, at the end of the day, like, we need these people to work together. So hopefully it gets to that point, just like Ted Cruz and him before, that they can actually come together and work and be a part of this. So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm sure it'll happen.
It will, I'm sure, unless it's just bloody, which it could be.
It could be.
But Greg, it's always a pleasure, man. Great articles,
yes,
man.
gentlemen.
Chris, cheers to you and your water bottle.
All right,
guys, have a good rest of your Monday.
Later, guys.
Sayonara.